There you go, my friends. Let's take a look at what we have here. So first, a little bit to fill in on the first couple pages here. Not a whole lot, but just a couple key words. So these theorems are used to prove relationships between your angles. Okay, so we're working on angle measurements today. Just like yesterday, we had angles, consecutive interior angles. Now, one of the things that's going to be different is yesterday we didn't have all parallel lines in the problems. You had some skew, you had some perpendicular, you had the different styles, some intersecting. Today we're going to have parallel lines on them. So that provides us with a little bit more information. So make sure you get parallel filled in on that blank too. Okay, so the red words, make sure you have those filled in. Now the rest of it, there's nothing for you to look at. We just have to, or nothing for you to write, we just have to look at it. So 4 things we know when the 2 lines are cut by a transversal and are parallel. So just remember from yesterday, these little red triangles, mine are in red, I know yours are not, mean the lines are parallel. Even if they kind of look parallel, if you don't have the triangles on them, you cannot assume that they are. So today you will see they're going to have the triangles on the lines so that they're parallel. And remember, the transversal intersects 2 or more lines. So the green is the transversal. Now here's the nice thing. If you have your transversal intersecting parallel lines, remember 2 and 6 are what we call corresponding angles. You now know they're congruent. If you're on parallel lines, they're congruent. Only on parallel lines are they congruent. Now, kind of the same idea for the next one. Alternate interior angles are congruent. So same thing, you're going to have your transversal. My picture's off the screen here a little bit. You're going to have your parallel lines here. And we talked about this yesterday. If the angles are on either side of the transversal, they're alternate. If they're in between the lines, they're interior. You know that. But now if you are on parallel lines, those angles are congruent. Parallel lines is key today. All right, third step. Kind of the same idea. If you have your transversal and you are on your parallel lines, your alternate exterior, bless you, you're on either side of the green line and you're outside the parallel, congruent. Now here's the only switch of the day, my friends. So the first 3 sets of angles congruent. It's the 4th one that's not congruent. Your consecutive interiors are supplementary. That's the one you really got to remember. So all of your homework today is really a 50-50. You're either setting them equal to each other or adding them to 180 for supplements. So again, transversal, remember your parallel lines with the triangles, and consecutive interior. They're inside the parallel lines, they're right in a row. This is the only pair that adds to 180 out of our new pairs. Now before we start doing these, remember, geometry is the gift that keeps on giving. You're going to see vertical angles today. You're going to see linear pairs today. Let's review it. What do you know about vertical angles? They're congruent. What about a linear pair? They equal to 180. So those are going to pop up in some of the problems too. Just to kind of warn you, you're going to see those. So again, these relationships of congruent and supplementary are only if you're on parallel lines. You're going to be on parallel lines today. So here we go. Flip the page. For each of the following, identify the angle relationship and solve for x. Okay, so parallel lines, mine are in red, clearly yours are not. We need color copy machines. My green transversal, just like yesterday, and here are my angles. Now, here's the question for you first, because it says to classify them. So the ones I circled in purple, are they corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior, or consecutive interior? Okay, so and we can abbreviate alternate exterior. Now, we just went through all of those theorems. Alternate exteriors, remember it's a 50-50 all day today. Are they congruent or supplements? Congruent. So I'm just going to do 120 equals 15x. And then I'm going to give you a sec, pop that in your calculator. X is 8. Done and done. And this is how your homework is too. They're going to ask you to identify the type of angles and then like you're going to be solving. Okay. Parallel lines again. Green transversal. I feel like a broken record. Let's first identify what type of angles are those in blue that I circled. Consecutive interior. So again, it's a 50-50 all day today. Congruent or supplements? So they add to 180. So I'm going to do 48 plus x plus 135 equals 180. Now we're definitely going to need a calculator here. We're going to put together the 48 and 135. And because you know I love to practice vocabulary, what property is that when you put those together? Combine like terms. Combine like terms. What is 48 plus 135? Perfect. All right, solve it for x for me. Subtract your 183, and what do you get? Perfect. Now, usually I kind of get a little nervous on a negative answer when we talk about angles or segments or whatever. I'm like, it's going to be okay. Because if I put -3 in here and add 135, you will have a positive angle for it. Always makes me a little nervous. I always like to check it. All right, let's take a look at the next picture. So same thing. Parallel lines. There's my green transversal. And I know they have that weirdo 4 on there. So the first question for you, ignore the 4. The blue angles, are those a special type of angles? Are they alternate interior, exterior, consecutive interior, corresponding? Are they? No. So this is where we got to get a little creative, because remember I said verticals and linear pairs are in play today too. Now, what do you know about 115 and angle 4? They're vertical, and I know those are congruent. So that's why I put the 115 where angle 4 is. They're vertical angles, they are congruent. Now I'm looking at these two. They're now consecutive interiors, so I'm going to equal or 180? 180. Consecutive interiors add to 180. So I'm going to do 115 plus x plus 5 equals 180. So you might have to kind of do a little, kind of the scenic route here and use some old school knowledge. Let's combine our like terms. 120. I think we can mental math this one. What's x going to be? X is 60. Now, let's put this down too. Remember it said to identify the special types of angles. I really use 2 special types of angles here. I'm going to put them both. I first recognized that I needed to know those were verticals. And I also had to know those were consecutive interior. So I'm going to put both down. So it's just the first, I want to say it's the first 4 problems ask you to identify what special types of angles they are. You might have more than one pair, like this guy here, okay? Just put them both, that's fine, okay? All right, same spiel, here we go. There's my transversal. So I'm looking at these angles in blue. So same question. Is there a special relationship between the angles in blue? No, they're on the same side. They're not considered. Okay, so we're going to kind of do the scenic route. I know they have angle 1 up there. We can use angle 1. There's a lot of different ways we can do this problem. I'm going to show you multiple ways to do it. So because they have the 1 there, I'm going to use the 1. I feel like I should show you that. So of course, 136 and angle 1 are a pair that make a line. So hang on a sec. So if they're a pair that make a line, linear pair, they add to 180. And Jackson already mental mathed it. I think you did it in your head, right? He said 44. So if I'm going to do it this way, I just use my linear pair knowledge. I'm just going to abbreviate here. And now I'm like, okay, there is a relationship between the 44 and the one with the x. What type of angles are those? Alternate exterior. And next question for you, are those congruent or supplementary? Congruent. Congruent. Oh boy. Let's subtract 9. What's 44 minus 9? And this comes out super nice. X is 5. Got it. Now, just to show you, because there's more than one way to do these, okay? That's kind of a little bit of a puzzle. I was looking at the 136, and I'm like, well, this is 136. Why? What special pair are those? They're in a similar location. We haven't used them yet today. Starts with a C. Corresponding. They're corresponding angles, which are congruent. And then I could have been like, oh yeah, that's a pair that makes a line. This could total to 180. You will get the same exact answer. So there's multiple ways to do it. I could have said corresponding, and then linear pair and added to 180. You get the exact same answer, okay? So there are some choices today, a little flexibility. All right, let's take a look at this guy, of course, my green transversal here. Now, sometimes they put like 2 red triangles just to be fancy, I guess. So it means parallel, don't let that scare you. So let's take a look at our angles. I like those. There's a direct relationship between those. What type of corresponding? So let's put corresponding. I'm going to abbreviate. And then it's a 50-50, of course. Are they congruent or add to 180? Ooh, I heard both. We got to decide. They're congruent. They're congruent. I'm going to do 11x plus 2, 10x plus 12. Okay, let's solve it. I'm going to subtract 10x over. You know how to solve equations. You guys are great at that. So I'm going to have x plus 2 equals 12. X is 10. Let's sneak it on here. We're probably already on the next one. Okay, let's take a look at this guy, my green transversal. Let's take a look. Oh, I was going to pick yellow, but I know yellow doesn't show up the best. Is there a direct relationship between those angles I circled in blue? Yes. What type of angles are they? Vertical. So I'm going to put vertical. 50-50 of the day. Are they congruent or supplements? Congruent. So I'm going to set them equal. And I wrote over that. What does that say? Is that a 5? Yeah. Like, oh shoot, I wrote over the 5. All right, let's subtract 5 over, so we'll be to 120. Probably need your calculator for this one. How many times does 24 go into 120? See, not so bad today, right? Not so bad. Any questions? So like I said, on the homework, the first 4 only make you also write down the angle pairs, and you can put more than one. After that, it just says solve for x. You don't have to write the angle pairs. So let's do these guys, and we're going to do one of the proofs today. So use the diagram below. Find the missing angle. Tell which postulate or theorem you use. Okay. Now notice, because I want to do this picture with you. Notice your parallel lines are kind of the vertical ones. So this guy's my transversal. It's kind of like they rotated our normal picture we're used to seeing. Don't let that mess with your mind. Angle 1's 105. I'm just going to label in the picture. And then they want to know what 4 is. Oh, that's easy. What's 4? 105. Now, it asks you, of course, it says, tell what postulate theorem, whatever. What did you use? Why are they congruent? What type of angles are they? Vertical. Because I'm running out of room, I'm just going to put back. Vertical angle congruency theorem, I'm just going to abbreviate. You can too. Let's see if I can fit the picture into on the screen here. Okay, if 3 is 75, I'm going to label it. What is 6? 75, agree. Because what type of angles are those? You got it. So I'm just going to say alternate exterior angles. Okay. I'm going to get any fancier than that. Let's scroll it down for the last one of these. If 4 is 110, what's 7? Because these are not congruent, they have to add to 180. And what is the name of the special pair of angles that they are? You got it. I feel like there's not a good way to abbreviate that. So this is what the homework is. There's a couple of algebra review problems, of course, at the end. Now remember, there's no proofs on today's homework. It's all proofs tomorrow. Okay? So I'm going to, I love this side. I'm going to do this one proof today just to kind of warm up the brains. It's been a few days since we've done proofs. And we'll do the other 2 proofs tomorrow to kick off class. So you know the drill. Write down the given. Okay, humor me. I know you know it. What does this symbol mean? Parallel. And you can see they've got the triangles on there. So here's my green transversal, of course. They want us to show 1 is congruent to 2. I think we can do this in a 2-step proof. Because isn't 1 and 2 congruent? Because what type of angles are they? Yeah. Angle 1's congruent to angle 2. Alternate exterior angle. If you want to be really fancy, it's technically a theorem. But long as you have alternate exterior, I'm happy. Okay. So again, nice easy proof, nothing too crazy there. Like I said, I'm not forgetting about the other proofs. I know there's more on there. We'll do those other proofs tomorrow, and then we'll do nothing but proofs.